What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. This is the Husband Coach Show, and I'm your host, Jason Schnitzer. Here is your next episode. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I've got an awesome podcast for you today, and that is why the gym is not your therapist or your coach. And it's kind of funny. I've done a few of these posts on my Instagram. It goes something like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but the gym is not your therapist or your coach. And I always get like a real big reaction to this about, how much the gym has helped people's lives and, really helped them get through tough times. And I don't disagree. And I have a perspective on this that I'd really like to share with you today. And first, let's talk about like why the gym is so beneficial. And if you listen to my episodes about self-regulation or the foundations of self-control, what it really is happening for you on a physiological level is the gym is a form of self-regulation. And whenever we get stressed or we get anxious or we get angry or we get sad, all the things, what happens is we are changing the state of our nervous system, right? Outside of our conscious awareness, we have an experience that puts us in, we'll call it a sympathetic or a dorsal state. And what the gym helps us do is deal with the somatic energy. In other words, somatic just means in your body, that energy that you feel from being anxious. That could be like tightness in your chest. It could change the state of your breathing. Everybody is impacted differently, but you have physical sensations, emotions, and then thoughts that happen when you experience stress or anxiety, let's say. And a great way to deal with that and to burn that off and to get you out of that state is by physical exertion, actually moving your body. So I say like movement is healing. It's because you're expending that, we'll call it sympathetic or yellow energy that happens when you experience stress. So, for example, so many people experience stress, experience anxiety, and they'll go for a run, or they'll go to the gym, or they'll do martial arts, or they'll do some breath work, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, you feel better. And which is great, right? It's awesome. However, what you're dealing with is a symptom to a deeper issue. So, it's like if you have a broken arm or you hurt yourself, right? And you have pain. Well, you take Tylenol, you take Advil, and that helps with the pain symptoms. But the root of the problem is still you have an acute injury somewhere. You have a broken bone, you have a pulled muscle, you have something going on internally that needs rest. It needs to heal before you can actually, push forward without having to, do things like take Tylenol. The same thing goes for, we'll call it emotional injuries. And what's super the thing about an emotional injury is you can't physically see it, right? So let's say we experience something when we're younger and we carry that with us through our life, and that manifests as anxiety, right? Let's say, for example, you get made fun of as a kid, or you don't get the right support that you need from your parents, or you get told that you are, ugly, or you get told that you're not good at something, and you have a story and a belief around that. And whenever you run into that situation in your current life, well, what happens is your nervous system perceives that as a threat, and then it manifests as anxiety, right? Hey, be careful, this thing might happen. And then when you have that trigger or that reflex around whatever it is, you all of a sudden experience those body sensations. You experience emotions, again, anxiety, stress, fear, anger, sadness, all the things. And then you have thoughts that start to correlate with those things, and you end up in this loop, right? And like I started this video off saying, a way to mitigate those sensations and those feelings and those thoughts is to do physical activity, which again is a great short-term response to those feelings, because what that does is it burns off that experience for you, right? That energy and those emotions seem to go away after a good workout. So people correlate working out with how to deal with that, when in fact, you're just dealing with the symptom to a potential deeper situation going on, right? That makes sense. So why I say, hey, it's not, the gym isn't your therapist or your coach, is because the gym can't help you get to the root of why you feel that anxiety, why you feel that stress, why you feel, depressed about something or sad or grieving something. What you have to do is get with somebody that can actually help you understand why you are the way that you are. Why is it there? Why is that feeling there in the first place? Right? Because there's no such thing as bad emotions, right? If there was bad emotions that weren't beneficial to us, we would have evolved to not feel them over the last whatever, however many hundreds of millions of years. But in fact, we have evolved to need emotions and to need certain feelings. And really, the idea of an emotion or a feeling coming up, it comes up in order for it to be resolved. But when you do something like work out, when you use a different coping mechanism, let's just say, a common thing is like smoke cannabis or use a substance to, suppress or bypass those emotions or feelings, what you're doing is you're just kind of masking the symptoms of something that is of deeper issue. The root, you're not really getting to that root of the problem. And why it's so important to get to the root, it's like, man, if you can get to the root and understand it, all of a sudden the symptoms go away, right? Or at least the symptoms are understood, right? If you have a physical injury, instead of just taking Tylenol, if you can understand the symptoms, or sorry, understand the root, then it's like, oh, I just have like a hurt tricep. I can do physical therapy for that hurt tricep. That way, I don't have to keep taking Tylenol or ibuprofen. Same goes for emotional injuries. The biggest difference is well, a few things. One, you can't see them, right? You can't know that you have like a cut on your arm when you have, you know, a bruise on your heart, let's say, or an injury from a bad experience from your past. And, what I'll say about traditional mental health is it doesn't necessarily take a holistic approach to those feelings, right? There's a stigma around like, oh yeah, Jason, he has a therapist. Or yeah, so and so, that couple, they have couples counselor. Something must be going on. It's like, no. It's like people dedicate their lives to helping other people better understand why they are the way that they are. And in my experience with my coaching, just being able to understand why you feel a certain way and how that came to be and what to do when you feel those things is like life changing, trajectory changing stuff. Where all of a sudden, once you understand these things, it's weird. You get to the root of it, and all of a sudden, those symptoms that you were experiencing magically go away. Now, I'm not like a mental health, I'm not a licensed therapist, so I'm not trying to say like, hey, we cure mental health. But when you understand your nervous system, when you understand why you are the way that you are, when you understand how you do things, when certain things trigger you, or the reflex that you have when something happens in your life. And a lot of times there's like 4 to 6 patterns that people have that kind of keep them stuck where they're at. All of a sudden, everything starts to change because you're aware of the state that you're showing up in, right? You don't need to go to the gym or have a certain coping mechanism to feel a certain way. It's like you have the skills to navigate the highs and the lows in order to kind of get back to a sense of calm. Then all of a sudden, it's like everything becomes possible, right? You can start moving forward and doing the things that you never thought you were capable of doing, but always wanted to do them. You can start creating a happy marriage because you're not reactive to your wife. And you can start being a better example to your kids because all of a sudden they don't bother you like they used to, right? Because when you can understand this idea, and really what I'm talking about here is self regulation, when you can understand the idea of self regulation, then all of a sudden, like, you understand why you are the way that you are, how you do the things that you do. Everything gets demystified. And then you're able to start doing things that fill up your cup so that you can, and I'm not saying to not go to the gym anymore, but all of a sudden the gym starts to have a different purpose. And you can use it as a regulation strategy for when you are stressed out, but also you can deal with things at the root of the problem. And then when you're moving forward with this, you are able to start giving to everybody in your life from a full cup, right? Instead of like, oh, I can't deal with this right now. I got to go to the gym. And then working out really hard. And then all of a sudden you're a normal human being and you can like participate back in your life and your family and your relationships and your business, all the things. The cool part about this is it's like you can use that. You can still use regulation strategies, right? Again, when you feel a certain way, it's about understanding why you feel that way, getting to the root of it. But the fact is like when we push in life, when we start doing things that are more challenging, when we have more kids, when stress does start to add up for us, again, you have the awareness to know what's going on, to know how you can start to shift your needs and start to shift your self-care so that you can stay in a state of regulation or at least return to it when the stimuli gets too great. Then all of a sudden, like you're using strategies with an understanding of why you're doing that. So it's like going back to the idea of like physical injury. When you just take Tylenol to take Tylenol to make a pain go away, it's like you don't really understand like what's going on. But like when you know, it's like, oh yeah, this is hurt. Or I'm going to do a really heavy workout and I might get injured here or have an injury here. You can use Tylenol or ibuprofen to help, you know, navigate that injury, but at the same time, you can be tending to it directly or maybe avoiding that while you're working out, while you strengthen that area. Same goes from an emotional standpoint with anger, frustration, um, processing grief. All those things need to be attacked in a different way, if that makes sense. So, again, it's not that I think the gym is bad. Of course, I go to the gym myself. It's a really important part of my life. The physical, the more physically strong you are, there's actually studies that show that you can actually hold more emotionally and just are capable of more, um, especially from a high performer standpoint. But the point is get into the deeper part of why you're feeling these feelings, as opposed to just trying to do something about the symptoms. So if this is you and you'd like help with regulation strategies, if you don't know what self-regulation is and want to learn that, if you want to learn how this is affecting your marriage, if you want to learn how this is affecting you as a father and the way you're raising your kids, it's like check me out on Instagram, Jason Schnitzer Coaching, or check my website, jasonschnitzercoaching.com, to learn more. And I offer a free call on there to hop on to kind of learn more about what coaching with me one-on-one might be like. So don't stop going to the gym, but definitely start digging deeper. Thanks for watching, you guys. Catch you next time.